Oh, hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday. Welcome in right here. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you for the next 2 hours, breaking down week 9, Thursday night football. We've got the one and only Matthew Berry joining us today to break down his rankings for the week. And it's going to be a good one, Adam. I can feel it. After a lot of blowouts last week, this week will be better, right? Please say yes. How you doing? How's it
I'm
going?
good. It can't be much worse. Hopefully you can hear
Oh,
me.
we say that a lot. Well, so listen, folks.
No,
How many
no.
shows have Adam and I done together? I mean, if throughout the summer, I was deleting yesterday. I was deleting some old rundowns because we reached the maximum. Did you know there was a maximum amount of documents you could have in a Google Doc?
No, I did
Tabs?
not. For real?
Well, we reached the max. Let me just say
Oh.
that. So that's how many shows we've done. And Adam still can't figure out his mic, but
What are
that's
you
fine.
talking about? Don't
Just makes
blame
our
me for
producers'
anything.
days,
Anyway,
difficult. It's 7 in the morning. Anyway, how you doing?
7 in the morning for you, not for
Well,
us.
well,
It's
that's true.
it's a little
Brandon,
later.
Shannon. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
Fine.
almost your bedtime. Anyway, so
It's
yeah,
really close. Here, this is how it's gonna go today. That's great.
but yeah, hopefully we get a lot more competitive games this week. What, one game last week was less than double
Yeah.
digits, so we had
Yeah,
a lot of blowouts.
I had that stat. I don't have it in front of me anymore, but it was boring. And it wasn't like we got good fantasy points, but not all the way around. You want them to be a lot closer.
Yeah, just non-competitive games. Even Monday night, 28-7. So yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully this week looks better. There are some games that do have some double-digit spreads, but hopefully we get some more competitive games this week.
We need it. We deserve it, right? What have we done? We deserve all of that. So yeah, it's gonna be a good week. It was nice to have a few more teams back in for the rankings. Let me just say that because last week was, I mean, some of the people that I was putting borderline, top 36, top 40, top 45, usually aren't in there. So it's a nice look to have them back. So we've got, like I said, a great show planned out for you today. Gonna start off with some of the news that we saw, Adam, and just get through that. It looks like, well, let's start with Terry McLaurin, who's ruled out for Sunday. Man, that's a bad pick. Oh my goodness. And that's one where you just have to shake your head and say, well, all right, we knew that he was staying out of practice, for the hold in, hold out, can't remember which one it was, but he wanted to get the new contract. Eventually he was able to do it. Looks like Jaden Daniels is heading towards his return this week. But again, not going to have his number one wide receiver. Terry McLaurin's been ruled out for this game, going up against the Seahawks defense too. So that's going to be a big loss for him. Injured that quad in week 3, and they said that he had a setback. So not going to have him this week and maybe for the week after as well.
Yeah, who knows when he's going to return, if he's ever
Bad.
going to be healthy this season. They have not put him on injured reserve yet, but clearly probably came back a little too early from the injury. Performed well in the game, made that great touchdown
Yeah.
catch on a awful throw by Marcus Mariota. It's just unfortunate, but you see this when these players miss a lot of training camp, whether it's a holdout or a contract dispute. They tend to not be in as good a shape, football shape, because they haven't been participating, and it can lead to injuries or even a slow start. We saw it last year with CeeDee Lamb a little bit, and that's one of the issues that you have with these players. So it's unfortunate for McLaurin. Got all that money, got paid, and yeah, it is going to turn out to be a really bad pick. He was still going in the 4th round, 5th round of
Yeah.
a lot of drafts. Like, he never really dropped significantly. I think everyone assumed, and they were right, that he would come to an agreement and be there at the beginning of the season, but it is obviously taking a toll on his production.
Yeah, it's been disappointing to say the least. At least you might get you probably looks like we'll get a Jaden Daniels back because he was practicing, but that's been man, just the whole team I think in general has been really disappointing, and they were being drafted highly. Of course, Jaden Daniels is always going to be drafted in that range moving forward just because of what he brings on the ground. But it's just been a little bit more injuries than we were anticipating. We never anticipate injuries, to be totally honest, but between them, Deebo Samuel, you've missed a game or two, if I remember correctly. And then the running back room. I mean, Jacory Croskey-Merritt was one where I remember vividly that we were talking about in some drafts that we were in towards the end of draft season, how high he was going. And unfortunately, that also hasn't been one to work out either. I do think that this team in general can turn things around, right? This is a really talented Commanders team, but we've talked about how we just don't know if they added enough this offseason to really propel themselves to the next level. So, yeah, one Jacory Croskey-Merritt, that's been not as fun. I think he's my RB25 this week. And then, yeah, for the wide receivers, just be careful because Terry McLaurin is out. And I believe I have Deebo. Yeah, 25 as well. Wide receiver 25. I might move him up because of this news and everything else, but yeah, he's still going to be in the 20 range.
You would think that it's an upgrade for him, but
You would
he has
think.
now struggled in 2 straight games, and he missed one in between. That heel injury was definitely bothering him that game against the Bears, where he had 4 catches, 15 yards. He sits out. He comes back last week and only has 3 catches for 11 yards. So uh, you hope Jaden Daniels can get him going. But yeah, it's been a real disappointing season for the Commanders because the expectations were high after going to the NFC Championship game, and I don't know if it's going to get better because this
I was
schedule's
just going to
pretty
say this
difficult. Yeah,
schedule. Oh my goodness. I was just looking through it. Go ahead.
yeah. The Seahawks this week. I know they're home, but Seahawks coming off a bye. They're a good team. The Lions, the Dolphins, and that game is overseas. So strange things happen there, and
Mhm.
we'll see what the Dolphins do tonight. But they did look much better last week. The Broncos, the Vikings, Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles. So yeah, it's a tough schedule. So I don't think they get in the playoffs. It's not they're 3-5, so they would have to go on a big winning streak. And even with Jaden Daniels back, I just don't think there's enough there to help them.
Do you think this was the plan for Jacory Croskey-Merritt, or do you think they believe that they made a mistake getting rid of Brian Robinson Jr.? I think about that once a week, and I just say to myself, was this really in the plans for them? Because looking through some of these stats, it's really not happening for him. I mean, taking on the lead running back duties, but he's fallen short of 6 fantasy points in what, 1, 2, 3 consecutive games now. We saw the upside in week 5. We saw what he can be, and we've had flashes of that, Adam. But this is another tough matchup where I told you where I have him this week, but he's been limited to a total of 125 yards, no touchdowns, 12.5 fantasy points over the past 3 weeks. And so I just always think, was this in the plans of how they were going to use him, or because this feels disappointing for the hype that he was getting.
Yeah, look, at the beginning of draft season, no one was talking about him, and he was like a last round pick. That's where I was getting him. The 16th round or later. Once he started moving up, especially late August, I could not take him. I mean, I saw some leagues where he's going 5th, 6th round, 7th
Yeah.
round, and I'm like, that's too high. Now, you do have to remember they had Austin Eckler when they made that trade with
Yep.
Robinson. So they still probably felt, okay, we have, a solid backfield that will piece it together. The problem with Krosky Barrett in fantasy right now is if they fall behind, he's off the field. I mean, McNichols had, I think, 5 for 60 last week, and he was heavily involved. They don't really use him in that passing down role. So you need the game to stay competitive. In the last 2 weeks, they've fallen behind by double digits. The Dallas game was disappointing because everyone runs
No
on
kidding.
Dallas, and he had 13 carries for 33 yards. So he's a tough start right now. I understand there might be people who don't have better options because of injuries and bye weeks, but if this game gets out of hand, that's a problem for Krosky-Merritt because he's going to come off the field and 3 straight games now without a touchdown, and now you're
Yeah.
looking at awful fantasy performances for him. So yeah, it's tough for him right now.
And Seattle, I mean, that's coming, like you said, coming off their bye, and that's a tough defense. They've allowed the second fewest rushing yards, league low 3.1 yards per carry, and only 2 rushing touchdowns to running backs. And it's different. They allow actually the most catches to running
Yeah,
backs, but again, that's not Jacory Croskey-Merritt. He's got how many he's got he's yet to see more than 2 targets in a game,
yeah,
and has a
that's
total of 6 receiving yards on 4 targets over the past 3 weeks.
you would think
That's not him.
by accident early in the game, even on a first or second down, there might be a check down to
Like
him,
a
but
whoop,
it
here you
hasn't
go.
happened. You know what's crazy too? You mentioned Seattle, so
Mhm.
I put this. It was looking at this stat last week that New England has not allowed a running back to rush for 50 yards this year. Seattle's only allowed one, and that was back in week 1. McCaffrey at 69 rushing yards. Every other game, they've held a running back to 48 rushing yards or fewer.
Yeah, no, that run defense has been really solid. And it doesn't look like they're going to crack either. And it's always just, the other way though is, getting it through the air to those running backs. That's where they just lack everything.
They really haven't faced top running backs though, but Croskey-Merritt's
I'm
definitely not. I
he's
mean, look,
not
it was the
unfortunately.
Houston backfield, the Jacksonville backfield, Rashad White, who we know between the tackles, only 41 yards against them, Arizona backfield,
I
the
know, and they're
Saints,
really not going to face tough ones until they got the Rams on November
Kyron Williams,
16th
yeah,
with Kyron Williams. They'll have, I mean, the
Bijan,
Vikings, who knows? And then Bijan is
and
December
Jonathan Taylor
7th.
back-to-back weeks. There you go. That's going to
Ugh,
be a test.
yikes. Okay. Well, don't love that. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor, oh, wow. So Jonathan Taylor gets them week 15, the start of the fantasy playoffs. That'll be
Yeah, I don't
interesting.
care. It doesn't matter
Yeah,
with
well,
Taylor.
that's true. I'm trying to manifest that the Seahawks do well there, but Seahawks are at home in that one. It doesn't matter. It's Jonathan Taylor. He's a cheat code. Yeah, Bijan Robinson. Yeah, they don't. Wow, they have a really nice rest of season schedule. That whole that whole division's going to be interesting how that shakes out in the NFC West.
It really is. That's going to come down to the end of the season.
And the Cardinals are just there, sitting at
Yeah,
2 and
they're
5.
done.
Sorry, Cardinals fans. They're not. Yeah, they're not good. But that's fine. We actually have a rankings update where we're talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. today. Hasn't it felt like it's been a while since we've talked about Marvin Harrison Jr.? You're like, yeah, for good reason.
Look, if he can't get it done this week, then there's no hope. He's going up against the
Yeah.
Cowboys. Looks like Kyler Murray will be back, but this is a game that you need to see a big performance from Harrison because it has been bad. And you can't just blame Kyler Murray because he has not done well with Jacoby Brissett either.
No. But you know who has? Trey McBride. You know who
Yes.
has Trey McBride? Me. So I'm almost thinking, what if I think Kyler needs to rest one more week. Just get, yeah, make sure you're fully healthy, get Jacoby Brissett back out there against Dallas and, be ready to go. But that's, that's just me. Who knows what I'm talking about? JJ McCarthy. This is going to be a big week. This is going to be, I know we have a lot of questions that are going to come in at Valenzuela 17, at Adam Ronis over there on X. If you have questions, start sit, week 9, rankings, anything you need, we are here to help. So make sure to send those in and we'll get to the phone lines here in a little bit. But JJ McCarthy said his ankle feels amazing and he's ready to go. Adam, he might be ready to go. I don't know if we as a fantasy community are ready to go, but this is what they have to have done. They have to see what they have in JJ McCarthy, and he's going to be playing on the road, going up against the Lions. That is not going to be an easy task, but at least we can lean back and say he has weapons. He has Justin Jefferson. He has Jordan Addison. We'll just see if he gives us more than one good quarter of football. What are you doing with him? I mean, if you're playing him, it has to only be in super flex formats because this again just is not a really good spot to start him.
Yeah, that's the only way you're going to play him. And everyone has been quick to judge him. We've still only seen 8 quarters. Now, it has not been good. We saw one good quarter, week 1 against the Bears, first game. Then the second game was against Atlanta, where he had
Yeah.
158 passing yards, 2 interceptions, and was sacked 6 times. And he's been sacked 9 times in the 2 games. So the offensive line is the big concern for him. And also now, when we look back on that Atlanta game, it doesn't look as bad considering
Yeah,
their
their defense
defense
is good.
outside of last week, where again, just don't know what happened there, where Miami carved
What
them
the
up.
heck is
It was one of those weeks though.
so
We saw a
annoying.
couple games like that. Tua threw for 205 yards. That's the most passing yards they've allowed this year. So that defense, that secondary has been really good. So everyone's quick to judge McCarthy on that. Now he did have 25 rushing yards in each of the 2 games, but I'm interested to see how much he runs with this coming off the ankle injury.
Hmm.
But they need his mobility with this offensive line. So look, he does have the weapons. It is not good. It was only 2 games though. I think you need to judge him on a bigger sample than this.
I agree. I agree. I might hang on to him. I've got him in our GST, but probably not. I don't know if I have the Vikings are 8.5 point underdogs to Lions. So hopefully, I mean, I don't know. Hopefully, Kevin O'Connell has maybe a slightly less conservative game plan than what we've seen on Sunday. And again, McCarthy has good guys around him. So I'm looking at our Xfinity best, which is the ceiling projection for McCarthy this week. 20.8 fantasy points. Median is 15. Floor is 11.7. And I'm not trying to be someone that says, Adam, oh, I love him this week. I'm going to be way ahead of consensus rankings. He's my QB 23. So if you absolutely need someone, if your guys got hurt, maybe you have Michael Penix Jr. and for whatever reason he's not good to go today. He's one of those guys that you just close your eyes if you have to start him. It's a sicko start, like Dwayne McFarland likes to say. It's pretty sick, and you just don't have to watch. But maybe it goes well. Maybe.
Yeah, look, you're just hoping to see some improvement and get the football to your key guys, but it's going to come down to the offensive line, and we've seen that's been a big issue for most of the season for them.
No kidding. Carson Wentz was just running
Eat
for
up.
his life, The last quarterback update that I saw yesterday here was that speaking of Michael Penix Jr., he was limited in practice, but the quote was trending in the right direction. So it's that knee injury that he's been dealing with. Looks like Drake London was limited as well on Wednesday with that hip injury. We know that the practices today, Thursday and Friday, are going to be way more telling, way more important. But head coach Raheem Morris did say he considers both of them day to day. And that they're better than they were last week. So thank goodness, because that would have stunk if they didn't play and then got worse.
Yeah, that's true. And again, that was a Wednesday practice. So really today and tomorrow will be more telling for these guys as they take on the New England Patriots, who have been pretty stingy against quarterbacks this year. Again, they have not faced the best group of quarterbacks either, though. So take that into account when you look at their overall numbers. The best quarterback they faced was Josh Allen. He had 253 and 2 touchdowns against them. But the last couple of weeks, Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward, Spencer Rattler.
I really need Drake London back.
I do
like
too.
Drake London, Puka. If you guys are good now, come on back. We're ready for you.
Yeah, London I have in like a couple leagues, and even the worst part with London was the 6 teams on bye and that coming down on Saturday.
Later.
That was the worst part because it's one thing if you know when you're doing waivers on Tuesday and Wednesday, you just said, all right, I got London here, I'm good to go. And then Saturday comes, everyone's picked the waiver wire clean. Now, oh boy, I need a replacement for this guy. So that was the challenge.
I got chopped in guillotine leagues. Let's just say that.
That's an excuse. Your team wasn't good enough.
What are you talking about?
Your team wasn't good
enough. Well, actually... It might not have been great, but I was still in it, Adam. Let's just say that. All right. And it's always funny when those come down later, those Saturday injury updates, because you look around and you don't realize how much of one player you have until you're like, wow, I've got him on this team and then this guillotine league's team and then this home league. I was sitting there just sweating. I was like, no way I have him on all these leagues, but that's fine. Hopefully we get him back this week. All right, we're going to continue on here going through rankings, risers and fallers. As always, want to point you in the direction though of fantasylife.com/comet, COMET. This deal does not last for much longer. So I've seen a couple questions on there. You have to download the browser. So it is an AI powered browser. When you go to fantasylife.com/comet, COMET, you get Fantasy Life Plus for free. So make sure you do that when you get home, maybe on your lunch break, whatever it is, but go ahead and download that, get Fantasy Life Plus for free. And we've got a YouTube channel, Adam, by the way. So make sure you guys go like and subscribe. We'll retweet where that can be found so you guys can go and check it out. We've got rankings, risers and fallers here coming up next. Rankings, risers and fallers. That's what we're getting into right now. Oh yeah. You hear that, Adam?
I do.
It's a good song. It's a good album. You should listen to it. I know you have.
Yeah,
actually.
I will.
You know what? You know what's on my For You page now on TikTok everywhere? Sabrina Carpenter. It's like my phone was listening, and now I only have
searching for her.
Well, the tickets.
Yeah, you're looking for tickets.
Once. But now I'm seeing everyone is going to her concert. I don't know. I think we should still try and go. She's in New York right now.
Really?
You should go.
Okay. Is it tonight?
I don't know. She's doing like 3 or 4. She's there for like 3 or 4 concerts or something like that. I'm sure those tickets are expensive.
You have the money. You have the money.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Well, we were supposed to win the money from the National Tight Ends Day, but our parlay didn't cash. So
you got duped into the national holiday. And
what are you talking about? We made good picks.
We did.
Except for we can blame Matthew. You know what? Matthew's coming on today. I'll say, hey, thanks for
I
the
don't think you
Tyler
want to
Moore.
blame him. That might not go over well.
No, you're probably right. You're probably right. Kendall Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you right here on Fantasy Life, Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Going through those rankings, risers and fallers. We've got our rankings live and updated at fantasylife.com. So make sure you go and check those out. And if you have questions for us, at KValenzuela17, at Adam Ronis over there on X. One of the rankings risers that I will say, at least for me and a lot of us over at Fantasy Life, was Jaxson Dart. Again, we've talked about Jaxson Dart a lot. I know that there's going to be a big change, and we're going to be talking here in a little bit about Tracy and our expectations for him. But for everything that's been going on, Jaxson Dart has averaged 22 points per game in 5 games as the starter. And that mark is it's tied actually for the 6th best over that span. So now he faces this 49ers defense that has holes in it, Adam. I mean, it's not been the 49ers defense that we know. They've got injuries piling up on both sides of the ball. And San Francisco has actually allowed 301 passing yards per game over the last 4 weeks. So you know why Jaxson Dart is being boosted here this week. And I have him, I think, 3 spots ahead of where our consensus is. But he's going to be my QB8 this week. And I'm okay with that. It's a good matchup.
You're okay. So you're definitely higher. So would you start him or Kyler Murray?
I'm starting him.
Really?
Yeah, I might change it, but I'm sorry. Right now I'm starting him. Kyler
he's got the Cowboys.
I know, but even it's Kyler Murray. He makes me really nervous,
I never
to be totally honest. It's bad.
But yeah, the 49ers just have so many injuries right now on both sides of the football, but the defensive side too. And we saw Stroud throw for 318 yards last week. So you're right. The last 4 games, they've allowed multiple touchdown passes to 3 of the 4 quarterbacks. The one who didn't have it was Michael Penix, and we never expect big stats from him anyway.
Nope.
But yeah, Dartson, he's getting it done with his legs as well. And Darius Slayton came back, so that's a deep threat there who should have had a long touchdown, but they called it back due to offensive pass interference, which was a really bad call. So he would have had better numbers and multiple touchdowns if that did count. So yeah, I think with Dart, losing Scatterbo, I think does hurt a bit, but he's found a way to get it done. No Malik Neighbors, and just found a way to produce for fantasy. And he hasn't run much though the last 2 weeks, yardage wise.
I think he's gonna have to now.
But he did have a rushing touchdown in each of the last 2 games. The Denver game, we expected very little rushing yards. They just locked down running quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And then last week, just 6 for 17, but still had a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. And they need him to produce to have any offense.
Yeah, I think he could have a massive game this weekend. Again, they are giving up the 49ers, boosting opposing quarterbacks by 58 yards, 0.4 touchdowns per game. So I did upgrade most of that offense, and then including Tracy. Tracy was a big riser, but we're going to talk about him, dive deep into what our expectations are in a little bit. Sam Darnold, a good quarterback streamer this week, I want to say as well. If you are in what? Yeah,
Homer.
Definitely.
It's a Homer
well,
pick.
Listen, hey, I was the one that was not very high on Sam Darnold coming into the season, to be totally honest with you. I was nervous about just his play, especially after what we saw to end the season last year. I was also more nervous about the Seahawks offensive line, but man, his connection, that is just, again, another cheat code with Jaxson Smith-Njigba. It just does not matter. The Seahawks are obviously a run-first offense, and they don't do that very well, but it's fine, Adam. What do we need for efficiency from there? But Sam Darnold has been really good with this new Clint Kubiak offense, and again, you've got a really good connection between him and JSN. He's averaged 251 passing yards. That's 9th in the league right now. 1.7 touchdowns per game, which is 13th. And they're playing the Commanders, which again, this team is they have not hit their stride, and I don't know if they ever will this season, but they've allowed the 5th most passing yards per game at 261. So if you're looking for a streamer, someone that could be not in deeper formats, but in just regular 12-team leagues, this could be a guy that's still out there. He is a good streamer for this week.
Yeah, Washington's allowed the 6th most fantasy points to quarterbacks per game this year, and Jaxson Smith-Njigba had his bye week, and he still leads the NFL in receiving yards by 99.
That's crazy. Who would have thought? I don't have enough of him. I just don't.
I don't have any, and I had a lot last year. Yeah,
you were high on him last year.
very high on him last year.
It just depends on where you were drafting
That
them.
was the problem.
Yep.
So, because if you didn't take him, I had a mixture of early picks and late picks, but like those early picks, if you didn't take him early third round, he was
Hmm.
gone. He was not making it back to the fourth round. So he was generally a third round pick for the most part. So yeah, and it absolutely stinks because he is just getting wide open and it's big play after big play. And every week I'm like, okay, this is the week that he's not gonna produce,
Nope.
right? Because I look at his props every week and I'm like, damn, they're so high. And he just keeps going over them every single week. I'm trying to think. I think I don't know what the prop was in week 4 against Arizona because that was his worst game at 79 receiving yards. Well, the last 3 games, 132, 162, 123. So yeah, it's just I gotta look at it, or at least the other one I think you can look at is the longest receiving yards prop because
Yeah.
it's been his worst number has been 26, and that was against Houston. So I have to look and see what they put out
Now
because
you're
it's
like,
just
wait
like
a
no, because
second.
it's
No, I know.
every single week he's open, and that connection is just money right now.
Yep. It's nothing you want to bet against. Let's just say that. So he's one again. Yeah, obviously, if you
And
have
just
him
what do you think his receiving yards are this week
this
for a
week
prop?
against
Yeah,
this team,
yeah.
94.
Yeah, you're right there because it's different on every
Yes,
book. It's 91.5 on BetMGM,
it is.
94.5 on
I
Caesars,
mean,
95.5 on FanDuel, 97.5 on
it's
DraftKings.
crazy.
They
He's
don't
been
oh wait.
so
So
good.
his longest reception right now is on FanDuel, 27.5. That's
Okay.
probably the one I would take if you don't want to do receiving yards because again, he's gone over that in every game except one, and it was against Houston. He had 26. I mean, his receptions too. His numbers are insane. It
Hmm.
really
Well,
is
because they
crazy
don't.
what he's doing.
It's not Cooper Cup. We know that. I mean,
Well,
AJ
that I
Dillon
could have
gets
told you
involved.
before the year.
Elijah. Well, we were telling people like, hey, it's don't fall for this. The Cooper Cup stuff. But I mean, it's really them, and then the running backs, Kenneth Walker and Sharps. Which again, we shake our heads with that because I just don't. I think the Panthers' backfield is going to change quicker than we've seen from the Seahawks. I think that's really what the reality is right now. But again, Sam Darnold, a really good guy that you can look at. Kamani Vidal, another good one that you can look at. I was trying to trade for him yesterday, a couple days ago. No one's budging on
Really?
Kamani Vidal.
That's
I
interesting. I
know.
thought you. Well, the
I
thing is,
know.
we really don't have any specific update on O'Marion Hampton. There's been
Well,
nothing positive. That's the problem.
well, and it's people I think are still remembering and leaning on the quotes that we had I think it was 2 weeks ago, where there's the potential that the Chargers bye week is week 12 and that we don't see him till week 13. And we still have a long ways to go till then.
Which is why I think the Vidal managers are smart because he looked so good last week. He
He
was
does.
breaking
And he's got a
tackles.
great matchup this
Yeah,
week.
against Tennessee. So I think if you do have him, you just go, you know what? I'll just even if Hampton comes back after the bye, you'll just take the next 3 weeks, get that production, and then you don't even know if Hampton will be back by then. How is he going to
Yeah.
look? Do they use Vidal a little bit more when Hampton's back if he continues to look this good? So I can understand from their perspective. I only have him in one league. No one sent me any trade offers. I am open though if they are
Dang.
listening.
Well,
I
if I
know a
was
lot
in
of
your
I
league,
know a lot of people in my league listen. I can tell you that for sure.
I love it. Well, if I was
So
in your league, I was actually offering Jordan Addison for Kamani Vidal straight up.
okay, I mean it's tough to make even if you have Vidal, it's tough to make that trade. Even if you
I
think
know.
okay, he's only gonna have 3 weeks. I mean, look, Addison is amazing because he just scores touchdowns almost every game. He's got more than Justin Jefferson. But the question is the McCarthy coming in at quarterback? Like, what is that going to look like? Because again, it was only 2 weeks. But the other factor with McCarthy is they did not let him throw the ball.
No, they
Go
have to be
look at
less
those.
conservative. They
Right.
have to.
They were clearly trying to hide him. And
Mm-hmm.
you saw the numbers of Justin Jefferson get affected in a big way. And then remember, Addison didn't play those games too. That's the other
No,
factor too. Is
no,
what how's
those 3 games he
yeah,
didn't
what's
play.
Addison gonna look like with McCarthy in there?
Yeah. That's why honestly, because so Jordan Addison was one in this one specific league that I picked up because he was falling a little bit too late, and I already had my starters. It's only one flex, and so I have a Mecca Ibuka in there. So Jordan Addison's on my bench. And I'm thinking, I'm of the mindset right now, Adam, and it could be wrong, but I have been trying to shop him around because I feel like his value right now is the highest it's going to be. And if we don't see a good JJ McCarthy, it's just going to plummet after this week. Because like you said, we haven't seen them together, and it could be wrong. They could have a great connection, and maybe they just find each other, and it's a lot better than I'm expecting. But I just think for what he's given us over the last couple of weeks, it's time. You could sell now, but again, a lot of people aren't taking it. I need a running back badly, and no one seems to care, Adam. No one in my league seems to care that I need a running back.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Unfortunately, they want Kendall to starve, and they're not going to give you any running back.
We got a family.
Trust me, I have leagues. I have leagues with running backs that are just embarrassing, as you know.
But then, when we tried to trade with people, someone will message me being like, "What do you know?" And I'm like, "I know nothing. I just want to get rid of this guy. Nothing's going on."
So, have you made any trades this season?
No,
I haven't.
And I've actually. This is the year I've tried more than ever to trade, and it hasn't happened.
I don't even know if there's been any trades. So, to be fair, I play in a lot of leagues with no trades. I would say maybe half my leagues are no trades. Like the high stakes leagues don't have trading leagues. Yeah. So, I don't play in a lot of leagues with trades, but there's been very few trades in any of the leagues I participate in. I get a lot of trade questions though, so I'm glad that you guys make trades.
Yeah, make those.
But in our leagues,
trades.
I think football is the hardest sport of the fantasy sports to make trades. I think it's way easier in fantasy baseball, fantasy basketball. It's very difficult because for the most part, everyone wants running backs and no one has depth. And if you do have depth, I always say it, you think you have depth at running back, and then after the weekend passes, 2 of your running backs go down, you don't have any depth anymore, and you can't make a trade.
Exactly. It's just it's so fluky. It's so annoying, but you guys can make trades, and that's why we live vicariously through you. Because we hear your amazing teams, and then we hear your great trades, and we're just like, yes, at least we're helping them.
That's the goal.
That's the most important part. We don't get, we care about ours, but we want to make sure.
I care. I'm not going to lie. I hate losing. I hate losing at anything.
Everyone knows when you
That's why
lose,
I love crushing you in Family Feud 5-2.
Oh my God.
5-2 is the score.
And the one day that Charge wasn't here was the day that I won, but that didn't count.
So no, wait a second. What are you doing?
What are you talking about?
That was not a game that week. You had the information.
Made sure it wasn't a game. You sent Charge on vacation.
I did not.
It was a difficult week, and you just didn't want to go through the names.
Yeah, man. I'm having an influence on you now. You're trying to come up with excuses.
Just like to stir the pot. Our producer started it this morning, to be totally honest. Your mic wasn't working.
It was working.
They're just producer Shannon's just like, come on.
Guys are messing with me, man.
It's pretty fun. We're going to continue on. Got more rankings, risers, and fallers that I want to talk through. See some questions coming in, so we'll start getting to those at Valenzuela 17, at Adam Ronis over there, and the biggest week 9 questions as well. Travis Hunter. We need to dive into if Travis Hunter's week 7 breakout was real or not. If you're starting him this week, Tyrone Tracy and that workload that he's going to get. Same with Rico Dowdle. We're going to break it all down here next. All right, guys, want to talk to you about Huel. It is a great drink that you need to be considering because sometimes your days don't go the way you plan them. Just like when you go to an 18-inning baseball game like myself. You don't know what you're going to do to eat the next day, but Huel has ready-to-drink shakes that honestly just keep you so full. You don't have to worry about what you're eating in the next 20 minutes. You don't have to worry about the sugar. They've got 35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no sugar added, and they're gluten-free. And the best part, guys, is that they're $5 per meal and under. My personal favorite right now, the chocolate peanut butter. But like I said, you guys knew I went to that game on Monday. I was not expecting 18 innings. So the next day, I was sitting around saying, there's no way I want to go to the store. There's no way I want to have to cook tonight. And where did I turn to? I turned to Huel. They also have daily greens, which might be one of my favorites that they have so far. It is the hibiscus one that I like. So if you guys try that one, please tag me in it because I don't even know that I'm tasting a greens drink, and it is amazing because like I told Adam in one of the breaks, I'm sure he doesn't get the vitamins that he needs. I don't know if he's eaten all the all the vegetables that he has to go through, so you have to try the greens drink as well. And the peach hibiscus, again, is one of my favorites. Doesn't even taste like you're having a super greens drink, and this was developed by registered nutritionists and dietitians. 42 vitamins and minerals and superfoods, only 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber, and only 1 1 gram of sugar. I'm telling you, you need to be listening to your body, and Huel is the way to do it. Human Fuel is where you get the name, and Huel makes healthy eating simple. They also just launched into Target stores nationwide. So you can try both the products that I just talked to you about, the chocolate peanut butter one that I know Adam's going to go try after the show, the hibiscus super greens that I just mentioned as well. Try both products today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with my exclusive code FANTASYLIFE at www.huel.com/fantasylife. And that is HUEL. So make sure to use my code FANTASYLIFE. And if you are, if you're okay with it, fill out the post-checkout survey to help support the show here. So again, www.huel.com/fantasylife, and let me know how you like it. All right. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us right here. We're going through the biggest week 9 questions, Adam. One of the biggest questions that we have is Travis Hunter. Do you believe that his breakout was for real? What do you think? I hope so, because I have him in one league and I would love to play him.
I only have him in one league too. I actually did play him that week. I've been playing him. I think I've played him, but that's a very deep league with 2 flex spots, so really don't have better options. But yeah, look, they spent a high draft pick on him, and they talked about it. They've actually, I think they've mentioned it multiple times, and every week we've been waiting and it didn't happen, but he's been running more routes. And it seems like the focus is more on the offensive side. And usually coming out of the bye, you see team make changes. We talking about it with rookies all the time. I'm sure Cohen has gone through the film and tried to figure things out. But yeah, I definitely feel you got to feel much better about him. I mean, 87% of the snaps week 7, that was a season high. It was 78% the week before. So each week it has increased. Brian Thomas, I know he was banged up that last game and has that shoulder issue. So I guess we have to see the rest of the week what the practice reports are on him. I would expect him to play, but it does seem that he is worried about catching the football, like those Trevor Lawrence hospital balls, which continue. You could see Thomas is a little bit timid at times going after the football. So
as he should be.
Yeah, I mean, look,
to be totally honest, if I was throwing you that up there, you would be like, Kendall, come on, get it together.
Yeah, trying to get me crushed by the defenders.
Stop. I mean, the wrist injury too comes into play there. I mean, he just hasn't. It got better, but he hasn't looked like himself fully.
Yeah, so I think you can be more confident in Travis Hunter from a fantasy perspective going forward. We saw, again, that big breakout game right before the bye week when that was an overseas game, right? Yeah, that was in London. So, 101 yards that game and 14 targets. So, I think you can feel confident about putting him in your lineup going forward.
I like it. So breakout game was real. You can say it for social.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's real.
All right, I like that
and spectacular.
So, startable going forward.
Yes.
What'd you say? Spectacular.
Yeah, it's a Seinfeld reference.
Oh, dang it! I was like, wow, that's so nice.
You didn't watch that show, you said, right?
Well, I've seen like bits and pieces, right? Because it's not a show that you have to watch beginning to end.
No, as we've told you about Curb Your Enthusiasm, which you need to watch.
I've seen the soup episode. That one's one of my favorites. And the one where they get lost in the parking lot. Yeah,
the parking lot wall. Yeah.
It's incredible. It was incredible. That's a good show. Dang
you need to watch Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Do I?
Yes.
Is it the same thing? Or
it's similar, but it's very good.
All right. I'll do that. Tyrone Tracy and a full workload. What do you expect from him going forward? This is one of the bigger questions that we have right now. 78% snap share and 9 of the 12 running back opportunities after Cam Skattebo went down. Hasn't been impressive, obviously, this season, because if you picked him up, it was Cam Skattebo's world and we were just living in it. But now Cam Skattebo is out for the rest of the season. So where do you think Tracy is going to fall in the rankings? And obviously, if you picked him up, if you have him, he's going to be startable every single week. It's just wondering what it's all going to look like. I still suggested Devin Singletary, that people go and pick him up, but that's not going to be one that you start, but there is a chance there.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if they give Singletary goal line carries, because remember, Tracy had that fumbling issue last year, so want to see how that plays out. But for the most part, I think Tracy's that mid RB2. We did see he was very effective last year when he had the opportunity. So I think he can go back to producing. We know he can get it done in the passing game as a former wide receiver, so He wasn't available in very many leagues that I'm in, but I know he was out there in quite a few leagues for people. And if you did get him, he's going to be in that RB2 range because I think
Yep.
the double digit touches will be there. Um, and you just got to hope that they do give him some goal line carries so he can finish off some drives. But you do have
He had
Jaxson Dart near the goal line
I
that will take
know.
some away.
I know. I mean, we saw it last year though with Tyrone Tracy. He was good from what, week 6, week 9 on? I mean, we've seen it before. It's just hoping that we get that kind of version of him back. So again, all of our rankings are live at fantasylife.com, so you guys can go and check those out. We're going to continue on. I still got some questions here. I know people are sending us questions as well at Valenzuela17 at Adam Ronis. So we are going to go through that and much more here coming up next. You are listening to Fantasy Life right here. Kendall Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you on this Thursday already, Adam. Jeez. And you reminded me that Halloween's tomorrow.
Yeah, how did
And
you
you've
not
got a
know that?
I don't, what am I don't
You don't
know.
look at it. It's October 30th.
No, I know. I look at the calendar sometimes.
Apparently not this
How
week.
long? Well, actually, it's been a quick week. I think that's why. I thought it was maybe next Tuesday or something.
Well, I guess
You've got a costume.
I do.
Can I still have guesses that I get, right? Can I
I
guess?
don't know.
I'm going
Do
to
you get
guess.
okay?
I think you're gonna somehow dress up as someone making fun of the Yankees. Maybe
No, that
like a Vlad Guerrero,
that's a good idea though.
the what he say, the
Yeah,
Yankees lose.
yeah. You know
See,
what?
like
That's a good
I
idea.
thought you were gonna
Having
do
that
something
shirt.
like that.
That's a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
idea.
Dang it. Okay, so you're not that?
No, but that's a good
Ah,
idea. I
dang.
definitely endorse that.
I definitely thought you were just gonna be trolling the Yankees, to be totally honest with you. All right. Well, I get 2 more guesses because I've made that up on my own. And so that's what I get the rest of the day. So we'll see if I can do you think I could guess it? No.
Probably not.
Okay, probably not. All right, that's fine. Biggest questions going into week 9. I see questions here looking at Rico Dowdle and if we expect Rico Dowdle to be able to take over Carolina's backfield. This might be one, Adam, where I say yes, but it's wishful thinking, but it's also looking at the coach speak, right? We saw Canales the other day say that they have to that they're looking at what Rico Dowdle has given them, and it's hard to ignore. And so they gave Chuba Hubbard the opportunity when he came back, but Dowdle has been more productive. But he's only had a 34% snap share, saw 8 of 24 running back carries last week. And I do think Rico Dowdle has the chance and the opportunity to take over, but it's if they allow him to do that this week.
Yeah, and we really just don't know. But I agree with you. Sometimes you do have to interpret what the coaches are saying, read into it a little bit. And from what Canales was saying, maybe they finally realize, oh, Daddle is better. I mean, averaging 5.71 yards per carry and looks more explosive. Now, the matchup is difficult this week, and Carolina is big underdogs this week going up
Yep.
against the Packers. They are 13.5-point underdogs. So that's the only issue there. How much will they run the football if they fall behind? Green Bay's allowed the 3rd fewest fantasy points to the running back position this year, and it's mainly because they're not allowing rushing touchdowns. They've only allowed 2 to running backs, and that was Quinshawn Judkins and Javonte Williams. We did see, Jalen Warren had 13 for 62 on the ground, 2 for 11 through the air. They have gone against some not great running backs as well. So I would feel more comfortable starting Dowdle over Chuba Hubbard this week. But I think Dowdle would still be a low RB2 this week. And if you have him, you're hoping that finally they realize he is the better back. And I've been saying this since Dowdle had the 2 games. I know they were against Miami and Dallas, but go back and look what he did last year for the Cowboys down the stretch. And he did it against some good defenses. I have no doubt I have Chuba, but I got to be fair here and objective. Dowdle's the better back, and he should be the one getting more touches. And they should have done it right after those 2 big games. I don't care how much money Hubbard is making. If you're trying to win football games, that should be your primary focus. And sometimes the guy making less money is the better player.
Yeah, I agree. They tried to follow the money and give Chuba the opportunity, but I think it's just very obvious that Rico brings something different to this team. Again, this is a tough matchup, and again, they're big underdogs in this one. But if he were to get that big, if they were to make the switch, I should say, and he becomes that RB1, would he not be top 14 the rest of the way.
Yeah,
Rico
I
Dowdle.
think
I
so.
mean, he would have to be. Yeah. So it's one of those things where we're going to see and we're going to have to wait. But I do think obviously Rico Dowdle is startable this week. I will still say Chuba Hubbard is startable too. Even though it's a tougher matchup, right? I've got a question here. Hubbard, Watson, or Mason in the flex full point PPR? I think that's Christian Watson.
I would think. Yeah, there's
Can't
no other
believe we're
Watson,
here.
right?
Can't believe we're here.
I know. He looked pretty
That
good. I
is,
think
he
he played
looked
about
really good.
56%
He might be the
of the
wide
snaps.
receiver too on that offense.
Which is crazy. Well, behind what, Dobbs or Kraft?
Yeah, Dobbs.
Okay.
Well, Kraft in his own.
Yeah, Kraft is probably the number one passing target that you want to play in that offense right now.
Absolutely. Man, who would you go with there?
I would not play Hubbard. I would tell you that.
Watson. Watson just feels like a kind of a stretch though. But they're favored by a lot. That's the only thing I'm looking at there.
I know, but again, with Mason, it's the split, and that game sets up more favorable for Aaron Jones. And look, it's not a good matchup for Carolina's running backs. And if they are going to go to Dowdle, it could be a low amount of touches for Hubbard. So I think I actually might go Watson there.
Wow.
I know.
How life changes so quickly.
I know.
Your guy, Christian Watson. No, I don't think.
Well, I don't have him this year. I was like,
come on. Now this is the
I'm not
1 year you
do
don't have him. He's going to go off. Hate how that happens. I see a message here from Tom saying, listening to your trade talk today, I was offered Breece Hall to trade away Kamani Vidal. I took it without pausing. Yeah.
I would have done that too. Because again, look, Vidal has been extremely impressive, and it's a great offense that is probably still going to lean more in the pass, but it could be 3 weeks for Vidal, and then Hampton comes back. It could be longer. We don't know. At least with Breece Hall, there's always the potential he gets traded.
Yep.
Even if he doesn't, he's going to get a huge amount of touches in this backfield. So I would have done that.
I would. See, this is what my league mates don't let me do. I would take that.
So offer it.
Now I only have Jordan Addison. That's all I have. And then my running backs stink. So what can I get? I want any running back that I could put out there at this point. It's just gotten so brutal. One other one here from Joe. Full point PPR start Dart or Goff this week. I've got Dart way ahead of him.
Yeah.
So I would go with Dart. That's going to be, he's going to be a waiver wire hero. Jaxson Dart, don't you think?
So far he has been.
So far.
Yeah.
It's been good so far. We'll see if it continues. It will.
Those running quarterbacks.
We love him. All right, we're going to go over to Matthew Berry. He's going to call us in. We're going to talk through his rankings, everything we need to know for week 9 and water cooler. Your questions coming up here next. Fantasy football is life, and this is Fantasy Life right here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you during this water cooler segment. We're going to be talking with Matthew Berry here in just a couple of minutes, but before we do that, Adam, got to go through all the news and notes that people might have missed over the last 24 hours? 24 hours. There we go. So let's get into it here. And just a reminder again, fantasylife.com/comet, COMET. That is where you can go and you download that AI-powered browser. It takes about maybe 2 minutes, and then you get Fantasy Life Plus for free for the whole rest of the year, a whole year, really, 365 days. So make sure you go and do that before that offer expires. I will say just some small updates here, and of course, Adam, it's way more important to see what these guys do in practice today and tomorrow. Christian Kirk, though, Nico Collins did return. A little bit limited, but that is okay. They won without him on Sunday going up against the 49ers, but this is one that we are going to continue to watch out for. And then I think people know this one, but Lamar Jackson does not have an injury designation for tonight, so he should be good to go. And then Ramondre Stevenson was out of practice yesterday, so that's just something to watch out for as well.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. TreVeyon Henderson would still get, 5 touches.
0 carries. They might call us. They might say, what, we don't have. Did you see the reports that they're shopping around for a running back?
Oh, I did.
Perfect. Because who needs TreVeyon Henderson? You know what we do need, though? Matthew Berry. We need to break it down with Matthew and see what his rankings are looking like for week 9. So we are welcoming him in right now. Matthew, welcome in. How's it going?
Kendall, it's going well. How are you? You know what? Actually, I take that back. I actually don't care how you're doing. I want to know how Adam's doing.
What?
I always ask how you're doing, Kendall.
Oh, fair.
Kendall,
No, it's
I know
fair.
you well. We talk all the time. I know how you're doing. I don't get enough time to talk to my buddy Adam. Adam, how are you doing?
Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm doing well. I'm doing as well as Kendall.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate that.
Good.
Really appreciate that. No, it is true, Matthew.
Excellent.
We get a show later after this for LGTV, which you guys can all check out on Thursdays and Tuesdays. But Matthew, welcome in. I think there's actually a lot of questions.
I believe.
Yeah, 110, channel 110 on LG channels. There's a lot of questions here, Matthew, and I let me start with the Bengals because we have not gotten great news on Joe Flacco yet, and maybe things turn around as the day progresses, as we get into Friday's practice report. But Matthew, if we don't see Joe Flacco for Week 9, how much are you downgrading this Bengals offense with Jake Browning in? I know we've seen Jake Browning before, but the highs have been really high with Joe Flacco and more specifically with him and Jamar Chase. So what do you think is going to happen this week?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're all praying, and it's hilarious that this is the world we live in, that we are all as a collective nation praying for Joe Flacco's AC joint to magically heal. That's the status that we're in. That's the status of the Bengals. And the answer there is like, look, I mean, I think seeing what Joe Flacco did 3 days after getting there compared with what Jake Browning, who's been in that system for a number of years, did is sort of eye-opening, right? And so to answer your question in terms of if we get news that Joe Flacco is indeed out this week and Jake Browning's getting another start, I think you still have to start Jamar Chase because it's Jamar Chase, right? Proud fantasy life investor Jamar Chase, by the way.
Absolutely.
But I'm definitely not starting Chase Brown, even though I know he's been better the last couple of weeks. He's a nice game last week, but they've actually, if you look at the usage, Samaje Perine's actually playing about 40% of the snaps these days. Now, you haven't really cared because Chase Brown's gotten in the end zone, but like the usage actually under Joe Flacco, the usage has gone down for Chase Brown. The usage may go up because they may try to run more with Browning under center. You know, Flacco throws every pass, but I don't think the offense will be nearly as efficient. So honestly, I think Jamar Chase is the only Cincinnati Bengal you can trust. Higgins has been a little bit up and down with Flacco. Like, you know, it's like 19 targets to 5 or whatever it is. I mean, it's insane. Yeah. So honestly, if we know it's Jake Browning, I'm starting Jamar Chase, and that's about it unless I'm truly desperate. Higgins would be a very risky wide receiver 3, I guess is how I would put that.
Isaiah Pacheco dealing with a MCL sprain, so likely to miss the game this week against Buffalo. We've seen them trust Kareem Hunt. Brashard Smith is a running back people have been waiting for to get more involved in the offense, and we saw him only play 13% of the snaps this past week, and most of his production's in the passing game. How do you think the backfield will play out with Pacheco out?
Yeah, we talked about this actually yesterday on my show on Fantasy Football Happy Hour. And, you know, Connor Rogers, who does such a great job, talked about how Brashard Smith in college actually profiles kind of similarly to Tyrone Tracy, somebody that was a pass catcher in college. They converted him somewhat to running back, and they're using him. But to your point, Adam, they use him in the passing game. And, Kendall, who's like 12 years old, doesn't remember this, Adam. But you and I, we remember this. You remember back in the day when Pacheco was a rookie, or just, early on in his career, but the Chiefs running back offense was really like it was Pacheco on the early downs and Jerick McKinnon in the third down role and the passing down role, and they used him very creatively, tried to get him in space. He had that one season where he just had, 9 touchdowns over the second half of the season. And I sort of feel like that could be what we see here. Now, the difference obviously now is that the Chiefs offense, thanks to Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown and Tyquan Thornton, they have a lot more speed on this offense today than they did back in the day when Jerick McKinnon was getting his. But the idea remains the same, that we're making this a three-headed running back committee to now a 2-headed running back committee, Adam. And so I just sort of feel like there's potential value here. I have Brashard Smith stashed in a number of deep leagues, hoping for that pop. And I do think that the injury to Pacheco opens up the door for kind of a 2-headed committee here. Kareem Hunt has value, obviously, because he gets the early down stuff and because he's got a chance to fall into the end zone every single week. But there's nothing interesting about all the underlying metrics, right? I mean, he looks like he's running in mud, and so there's an explosiveness to Smith that I think is interesting. But that's a long-winded way of saying I think it's a 2-headed committee that you're going to want Hunt over Smith, but Smith is suddenly a lot more interesting with more snaps potentially to be had, because I don't think they want Hunt in a full-time 20 touch a game role.
Talking again with the one and only Matthew Berry here, going through just his week 9 thoughts, his rankings. You can find him at NBCsports.com. I guess I'm going to stick with the theme of running backs here, Matthew, and just do a little check-in with Jordan Mason and where he falls for you going into week 9 now that Aaron Jones is back. Are they more RB3s for you right now, or do you still think there's a chance that Jordan Mason steps up the rest of the way?
There's always a chance because I think Jordan Mason's a talented player. But, we do a segment on Fantasy Football Happy Hour called Keep It Open or Close It Out, which, we're setting the bar, right? Bar tab, keep it. Anyway.
Nice.
So that's the shtick we do over there at Happy Hour. And so on Jordan Mason yesterday, I said I'm closing it out. I have no confidence whatsoever in this offensive line of the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know what we're going to get out of J.J. McCarthy. And so confidence is a strong word, Kendall, and the answer is no. I do not have confidence. You may not have a better chance. There's always a chance that Mason gets into the end zone, of course, but no, I think he is a risky low-end flex this week.
We were talking about Travis Hunter earlier, reports about him seeing more involvement in the offense, and we did see it before the bye. Are you expecting a big second half for Travis Hunter?
I really am. Look, they need Travis Hunter to work, and you saw it. Liam Cohen. Credit to Liam Cohen, who 2 weeks ago, leading up to the game before the bye, he said we are designing more plays for Travis Hunter. We are designing more plays where Travis Hunter is the first read. We've got to get the ball in his hands more. And what happened just before the break? That's exactly what happened. He had a career high in targets, in route participation, all the underlying metrics. And then obviously they've been on a bye last week. So you like this matchup this week. They give up, I believe they're like they're top 5 in terms of most yards allowed to the slot. Travis Hunter so far this year has run about 40% of his routes from the slot as well. So I think I'm in on Travis Hunter. I'm in on him this week. I have a column coming out later today on NBCsports.com or roll.com, of course, I'm a company man, called 10 Facts You Need to Know Before Week 9. And one of the facts, and there's always like 3 or 4 in there, are all about Travis Hunter. I'm very high on Travis Hunter specifically this week, but definitely for the rest of the season. Again, he's incredibly talented. They paid a huge premium draft day to go get him. Liam Cohen and James Gladstone, their general manager, need Travis Hunter to work for their jobs, to be candid. They gave up way too much for him not to work.
Does that mean, Matthew, you're downgrading Brian Thomas Jr.? Or no, I see him right here, wide receiver 19 for you this week. But is it one of those things where because of the expectations that you have with Hunter that maybe Brian Thomas goes down a little bit in the ranks?
Yeah, a little bit. He's also been banged up. And also, let's be clear, he hasn't been great this year. We've seen signs of life recently, but he has not been the guy that we all drafted. He has not lived up to ADP. He has not been the guy we saw down the second half of last year. So I've downgraded him for all those reasons. I mean, he's still in a week with 4 teams on a bye, and you've still got some big name wide receivers. We know Terry McLaurin's not going to play, et cetera. So you've got injuries. You've got, again, big name wide receivers on bye as well. So we don't know if, we're definitely getting Puka back this week, like, et cetera, et cetera. So I think in a scenario like that, again, he's a low-end wide receiver 2 for me this week.
Okay.
Speaking of Terry McLaurin, as you mentioned, he's out. In the past, we've seen Deebo Samuel really step up in his absence, but it's been 2 straight games where Deebo has not produced, including last week where he had 3 catches for 11 yards. We know he was dealing with that heel injury. I think it definitely bothered him a few weeks ago against the Bears, but is he someone that, with McLaurin out, that you're just pushing up and that you have to start, or are there concern levels about his health?
Both? Can I answer both? Not to sense it, Adam, but the truth is the answer is kind of both. Am I pushing him up more because Terry McLaurin's out and they're home underdogs to a Seattle defense? They're 3-5. Their season's on the line. We expect Jaden Daniels back this week, so that elevates the offense. I thought Mariota played well against the Chiefs, but still on the road at Arrowhead's a tough place to play. And as well as Mariota played, he's not Jaden Daniels. So I think you do upgrade Deebo Samuel's up, because I do think they'll be pass-heavy script. I think it's going to be tough to run on Seattle. So I do think they'll try to get the ball in Deebo's hands because he's one of the most dynamic playmakers. But am I concerned about the lack of production the last 2 weeks? I'm concerned about the heel injury. Am I concerned about all of it in a matchup against a tough Seahawks defense? Yes. So I think you're starting Deebo Samuel this week, but I don't think you feel great about it. Does that make sense? Like,
yes.
It always
I can't imagine
does.
benching him, but I also can't be like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely going with Deebo. I love it. I think you're probably like squinting and like wincing as you start him.
All right, Matthew, last one before we get you out of here. Might be the same thing for one JJ McCarthy this week. He returns to action going up, and it's a tough test, right? He's going up against the Lions, but what are your expectations, not only for him, but just the Vikings offense as a whole? Because we haven't seen great things from him yet, but there is potential that maybe he is able to step up. So I'm curious where you see him and how you see him looking this week.
I have no idea. That's the honest answer. We've seen him play 8 quarters of NFL football. He's been good for one of them. You know, it's 2 games into the NFL season. In his NFL career, he's got 2 games. You know, we talked about this again the other day on the show, and I just said, like, think about Bo Nix last year. If you watched the first 3 games of Bo Nix last season, you'd have been like, this guy has no business being an NFL quarterback. He looks completely lost. Seriously, the first couple of games of Bo Nix's NFL career were awful. You're just like, good Lord. You know, and then, of course, obviously, he turned into the top 10 fantasy quarterback. He led the Broncos to a playoff berth. He's unbelievable. So sometimes it takes rookies a little bit of time to get there. The other issue here is that offensive line, because of all the injuries, you know, I think Kevin O'Connell probably says, thank God for the Bengals, because if it wasn't for the Bengals, the Vikings would have the worst offensive line in football. And it's just, again, it's due to injuries. But so you've got a guy who's been injured, who's only got 2 games, hasn't looked great for the majority of those 2 games against Aiden Hutchinson and that Lions defensive front, you know, behind a banged-up offensive line. I want no part of McCarthy this week starting, even in a deep superflex league, you know. But am I still starting Justin Jefferson? Am I still starting Jordan Addison in leagues where I normally would? Yes. Because, again, like those guys produce with Nick Mullins. Like, I do think that offense is fantasy-friendly enough, and that they're going to have to throw the way you attack Detroit is that secondary, which is played better last week, but it's still beat up. And I think that's where you attack. I don't think the Lions are going to have any trouble scoring, so the Vikings as underdogs should have to throw quite a bit. So for the players that we care about in the passing game of the Vikings, I think you're still starting them. I prefer Jones to Jordan Mason this week, but yeah, I think it's wait and see on JJ McCarthy, because honestly, we just have no idea what we're getting.
Awesome. Well, Matthew, we appreciate you so much for joining us here. You going to be anywhere this week? Where can people find you? I saw you were in Pittsburgh for that game. That was awesome. Where can everyone see you this weekend?
Yeah, no, I'm back. We're back in Connecticut this weekend. Fantasy football pregame Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, all the way up until kickoff. We answer more questions than any other pregame show. So, you know, tag us on social media, #FF Pregame. And then, of course, Football Night America before the game against my Commanders and your Seahawks, Kendall.
There we go.
Should be a great one on Sunday night on NBC and Peacock. A reminder, by the way, if anyone wants, it's only like a couple of days left. There's only like 2 days left. I think it goes away November 2nd. But if anyone wants our Tier 2, Fantasy Life Plus, this is our Tier 2 subscription, a $100 value for free for the next 12 months. This isn't a like, oh, I'm going to sign up and then they're going to charge me in a week, one of those deals. No. We are giving it away for free for the next year, thanks to our friends at Comet. You just have to go to fantasylife.com/Comet, COMET, and you get all of our premium tools for free for the next year, help you out with DFS, help you out with trades, help you out with waivers, help you out with your guillotine leagues, help you out with your draft stuff next season, best ball as well in the off season. It's 12 months all for the next few days. It's available at fantasylife.com/Comet.
Awesome. Well, Matthew, we appreciate it, and we will talk to you next week. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Kendall. Thanks, Adam.
All right, there he goes, Matthew Berry. And again, fantasylife.com/Comet, COMET. That is where you can go to check that out and get that download done. Matchup highs and lows. We're going to go through some highlights, maybe some lowlights, ones to avoid if you can, and continue going through your questions here coming up next. We do always try to bring the heat. You like spicy food, Adam, right? You're good?
Not too spicy, no.
Okay. Man, I had some Thai food the other day that was really spicy.
I
It
love
was
Thai food though.
oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It was it was an experience though. I was like, whoa, this is way. I went over my head. I said medium. I usually don't do that because it's just really spicy, but I wanted to try it and yeah, yeah, it was still really good though. Let's just say that. So we do bring spicy takes. Is that how I'm going to transition into this?
Yeah.
That's what we're
Spicy
going to
takes,
do.
hot
There we
takes.
go.
Yeah,
Hot
that
takes.
works.
We're trying it out. We're trying it out. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us here today. We're going through matchup highs and lows and our expectations for them coming in here and continuing to go through your questions as well at Valenzuela17 at Adam Ronis over there on X. I see some of those questions coming in, so we are absolutely going to get to those. I think one of the highlights, I think someone we always highlight here, but we have to continue highlighting him, Adam, is Daniel Jones, right?
Ooh.
Daniel, no. Ooh, close though. Wow. It's only Mac that you are trying to get me with. So I'm not going to do it. It's fine. Indianapolis Colts are on the road going up against the Steelers, but at this point, Daniel Jones has, basically been a hero in fantasy football. He's scored 22 plus fantasy points in each of the last 3 weeks, 5 times on the season. I mean, we know that Brian with us right now, that's his team. He's excited about it. So Jones is facing a Steelers team that has allowed the second most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks, 21.3. So this is another one where we're just highlighting him if you have him. You might have other options too, Adam. That's the other thing. Daniel Jones was going late. If not, he was going undrafted. So you could have a situation where you have another really good quarterback, but you do have to pay attention to him this week. He is really high up in our rankings. Where do we have him?
He's got to be like, I would say 6 or 7 would be my guess.
Yeah, he's my QB 8 this week. Yeah.
So I have Jones in 2 leagues. One of them is a super flex league where I actually have him, Fields, and Drake May. And then the other league that I have Jones was off the waiver wire with Drake May. I've been playing Drake May every week. Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying though. You could have gotten him off waivers and you could have 2 really good quarterbacks like that.
So it has been difficult. I haven't even looked to see the breakdown of week to week of who's been better. I think most weeks it's probably Drake May. Because again, the one thing with Daniel Jones, he has not been running. They haven't. I think part of it is they don't need him to, right? You have Jonathan Taylor, because Jones had 3 rushing touchdowns the first 2 weeks of the year. Mm-hmm. And then since then, he has 1. And look at his rushing yards. He's had 7 rushing yards or fewer in 4 of the last 5. But he's been so good through the air. Multiple touchdown passes in 4 straight games. Had 3 last week, 288 and 272 the last couple weeks. So you haven't really needed him to run for fantasy because he's been so productive through the air and he's been so efficient. Kind of similar to Drake May. We talked about it. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. We were going through Drake May and his pass attempts, and they're not high, but he's just been so efficient because of these big plays. And it's similar with Daniel Jones. If you look at his pass attempts, look at these last 3 games, 29, 34, 30, 29, 33. He hasn't had more than 34 pass attempts in a game, and a lot of it is the Colts have just been winning big. They've been dominating. There haven't been a lot of close games. Also, Jonathan Taylor breaking off these long runs. But overall, from a fantasy perspective, Jones has been very good. But for me, it's just like it has to be like Drake May with like the worst matchup in the world, and Daniel Jones has the best in order for me to play Jones over May, and I haven't been able to do it yet. I will, though. I can guarantee you, when Drake May has a bye in week 14, I will start Daniel Jones over him.
There you go. You could have worse problems, though, to be totally honest with you.
Well, that's one of those guys. That's my best team this year. Trust me, I have a lot of problems on other teams, but at least that one for now is looking pretty good.
I saw, when I was going through rankings, someone that definitely fell for me this week, and it was like everyone over at fantasylife.com was Bo Nix because of this matchup this weekend. Not necessarily saying he's a, bench him or anything, because you, again, might not have better options here, but QB 16 for me this week. And I think he might stay there. I was looking at situations where maybe I could get him, to go a little bit up in the ranks, but it might not be it might not be it this week. I'm looking at him, and he hasn't been necessarily as amazing, especially as what we saw from last season. Texans are the number one defense against quarterbacks for the season. And if you go by like all the fantasy points allowed, fantasy points per pass attempt, everything adjusted, it's not looking great. So again, Adam, it might not be a situation where you can bench him and you say, well, I just have to go a different direction. But he is one that definitely fell down the ranks.
I think Bo Nix has taken advantage of some favorable matchups the last couple of weeks. Well, first of all, the Giants game, he was awful for 3 quarters, and then all of it came in the fourth quarter with 2 passing and 2 rushing touchdowns. Dallas, their defense is a joke, so throw that out the window. But then even before that, he really was not playing well. Now, the Texans, as you mentioned, have been death against quarterbacks, allowing the fewest fantasy points, but they really have not gone up against top quarterbacks. The quarterbacks they faced, Matthew Stafford, we know he's good. That was week 1. Baker Mayfield, who only had 215 and 2. Trevor Lawrence, Cam Ward, Cooper Rush, Sam Darnold, Mac Jones. Yep. So it's not like that, but they are a legit defense. And I know when you see a quarterback coming off the game he did last week, it's tough to bench him, but I do think there are quarterbacks in way better spots this week that I think this could be a situation, depending on who your other quarterback is, that you definitely go away from Bo Nix this week.
I think this is the lowest that I've ranked him all year. QB 16, it has to be.
You also have lesser quarterbacks in much better matchups, including Caleb Williams and Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and, it can change, and it probably will. Like, if Joe Flacco is out, I have him right now ahead of him. But, if he's out for that game, then it's obviously going to change there. Same with, Matthew Stafford. I've got Matthew Stafford QB 11 this week going up against the Saints. Coming off their bye. You just hope that Puka Nacua is back. But even if he's not, they were able to get things done when it was just him and Devontae Adams. That connection looks good. Jordan Love's going up against Carolina. Yeah, so you said it, there's quarterbacks that aren't usually inside the top 12, top 14 that are making an appearance this week. Let's just say that.
Yeah, Stafford has multiple touchdown passes 5 of the last 6 games, even going under 200 passing yards in the last 2. I mean, the game against Jacksonville, 182 passing yards, but 5 touchdowns. Well, Devontae Adams inside the 5. Yep, we'll just throw it up to him.
Yeah. He just has to do what he loves, and that's throwing to Devontae Adams. It's nice that the connection finally got there, though, because a couple weeks ago we were saying it hasn't. I don't remember what game that was, but there were near misses there where it was like Devontae could have had a way bigger game, and you could tell they just weren't on the same page yet. Of course, Puka Nacua being out, so that was 2 weeks ago now, obviously helps that situation, but it did look like they finally got on the same page.
I know they had 3 touchdowns. Almost all of them were in close. There were still a couple misses in that game. But the bottom line is that you have another week to get comfortable, work through the bye week, and the red zone targets are what's going to be there for Adams. That's what I thought. That's what I was a little worried about with Puka. Like, if you look throughout Puka's career, he's not been a big touchdown guy. And I felt Adams would come in there and get those red zone targets. But Puka gets so much volume that it doesn't matter. And he does have... He does have 2 receiving touchdowns in the last. I'd say he left I'm not going to count the Ravens game because that injury occurred early. He tried to come back in a little bit near the goal line. He only had 2 for 28 in that game with no touchdown, but he did have 2 touchdowns in the previous 2 games. But you will see, I think, Adams get more touchdowns. Even I know Adams has a head start, but I think the rest of the way you would think Adams gets more touchdowns than Puka. I just think they're going to look for him in the red zone more.
Yeah, I mean, if it was any indication of what we were going to get 2 weeks ago, then yeah. Again, that game was without Puka Nacua. He was banged up. Haven't seen, what? It's going to be today that we get the big update for Puka, but hopefully he's back out there. I would assume he is after the bye. You get 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2.5 weeks. Again, the indication was that he was going to play it. Usually Sean McVay's pretty good with that stuff.
Yeah, he is usually. All right, Kareem Hunt. We do have to go there, Adam. Kareem Hunt might be very playable this week. He's a rankings riser, and I know you shake your head, but I'm just like, this might be the situation that we're in. Someone asked me to pick if they should pick Kareem Hunt up off waivers. I said, yeah,
probably. He was actually available in, I think, 2 leagues that I was in.
With Isaiah Pacheco week to week with the MCL sprain, he's going to carry a larger workload. And I know that I've seen some questions here about Brashard Smith. I can't assume, Adam, that Brashard Smith's going to get more work because of this Isaiah Pacheco injury. I think it's going to be more geared towards Kareem Hunt getting a little bit more work. And so his projections at fantasylife.com, I mean, he's It's not bad. So from just a pure rushing perspective, this is a really good matchup for him too this week. He was available last time I checked in 40% of leagues, and he is a good streaming option right now. I have him as a low end RB2, and then the projection, the Xfinity best ceiling is 17.6 fantasy points for this one.
Look, and Matthew mentioned it too. He's just not been very efficient this year, but the Chiefs trust him, especially near the goal line. And Buffalo has actually struggled against running backs this year. They have allowed a lot of rushing yards. So, yeah, I think Kareem Hunt is definitely someone you could start this week. Now, he is touchdown dependent. And I'm very curious to see how they use Brashard Smith, because the week 7 where he played a good amount of snaps was a blowout. And I think people started to get excited thinking like, okay, his role's going to increase. They've been reluctant to give him carries on the ground. He's obviously been very good in the passing game. And you would figure he's going to see more time because I don't see them playing Hunt 90% of the snaps, so I think you will see Brashard Smith.
Who knows?
I guess.
I'll shake my head if we come in overreaction Monday and that's what we have, but I
want to see how they use Brashard Smith in the passing game because he has shown this explosive ability, and I think he needs to be the passing down. But again, we have to see it first before we start to believe in it. It is a good if you kept them stashed because maybe the role increases. And, of course, you've seen Mahomes run a lot too. So maybe they have more design runs for him. He's scrambling a lot, but maybe they have some more design runs for him. But, yeah, I think Kareem Hunt, as reluctant as we have been just because he just gets near the goal line, steals touchdowns, because that's really what his role has been. We've seen Pacheco run better the last few weeks, but you would imagine that he's definitely going to be out this week with that MCL injury. And especially when they call you week to week, you're usually going to sit out at least one game. But, yeah, Kareem Hunt is a guy that maybe scores multiple touchdowns like he did this past week.
That's just crazy. I can't believe that we're here. I saw a question from Kevin saying, would you rather have Emmanuel Wilson or Brashard Smith going forward? And right now it's Brashard Smith for me, Adam. I don't know if that changes for you, but I will say Josh Jacobs has been banged up. I mean, he's been on the injury report. So I like both of them.
I do too.
I hope you don't have to pick one or the other, but I guess if both were on waivers, Adam, who would you prioritize? Emmanuel Wilson or Brashard Smith?
Probably Brashard Smith, because if he does get that Jerick McKinnon role, as Barry mentioned, that's pretty big in this offense, and he's got that explosive ability. Again, they seem reluctant to give him touches on the ground, which he hasn't been very efficient, and part of that could be, again, making that transition from receiver to running back. But, yeah, I would go with Brashard Smith. I do think, though, Emmanuel Wilson is an interesting stash because we have actually seen him get more involved in the offense. I think Green Bay's got to be smart here with Jacobs. Obviously, they're playing for the long game for the rest of the year, and Jacobs has been banged up.
For sure.
He probably should have sat 2 weeks ago. He was telling them, I'm playing, I don't want to miss time, but he clearly is not 100%. You could see it just in the numbers over the last couple games, and also go look at the workload too. They've diminished it. He was a guy that you could pencil in for 20 touches. We've seen 14 and 16 the last 2 games.
I feel like we've had a lot of players like that this season where we said, well, maybe they should have sat out 1 week, like Brock Bowers one time. I'm just, and then, gosh, can you tell I only have him on one team, but it's a team that I'm really passionate about and that he's really drugged me down.
Was that late first or early second round pick?
Late. Where you took it was actually at the 2-3 turn. I picked 4th in that one. And so I had CeeDee Lamb, and then Brock Bowers came to me at the turn, and I said, I need him. But you know what? I didn't need Adam. I didn't need him.
Especially this year with tight ends. So the tight ends that went late came off the waiver wire.
No, thank you. Yeah.
Well, look, the good thing is you hope that if you have Bowers now, that you're right there in playoff contention, and you hope that the time off now has gotten him healthy and he can go off down the stretch. Obviously, there's concerns about the offense, but you have to think that they will get the ball to Brock Bowers.
Let's hope so. Please say that again. Like, we're manifesting that. That's going to happen this week. It couldn't get worse.
If it doesn't happen, it doesn't bother me. I don't have them anywhere.
Well, great. Well, thank you. I thought you cared about my fantasy teams. Just kidding. We're the only ones that care about our fantasy teams, to be totally honest. All right, we're going to continue on. Got more matchup highs and lows that I want to go through, and rankings, risers, and fallers. More of your questions as well at Valenzuela17, at Adam Ronis over there on X. We're going to continue doing that here coming up next. This is Fantasy Life. The show's gone by quickly, Adam. What are we doing? every single time.
Yeah, it does.
Because we're best friends.
Yeah, we're not
Best
even looking
friends
at
with anyone.
time. It's just
No.
flying by.
Should we just go the rest of the day? Should
That
we just
peanut
say
butter
we've got it from
chocolate though
here?
has me intrigued.
I'll send. You need to get some. It's really good. I'm telling you, I'm drinking this one right now, the Daily Greens, and I'm not even kidding. It's really really good. But you eat your vegetables. That's what you said.
I do. Love salad, love vegetables, but peanut butter, anything peanut butter and chocolate, I'm in.
Is that the Halloween candy? So do you get a lot of kids coming for Halloween, or do
All right,
you?
you're gonna get mad at me on this one.
Oh,
so
no.
the way it works in the building, you have to like put something on your door to signal that you will be giving out candy.
You're not doing it, huh?
No.
Adam, come on. Why?
Well, because I could be away during that period, taking my walk or doing
6
something.
p.m. You're gonna be
No,
away?
I think they do it between 3 and 7.
That makes it even worse.
No, that's when I take my walks.
I'm disappointed. As someone that wishes more children were doing Halloween in their neighborhood so I could give out candy.
You?
Yeah.
You wish there were more? Okay.
Yeah, there's
All
not.
right,
Well,
I'll get candy then. I'll do it.
All right. And then you can keep all the peanut butter ones.
Oh, they're not getting any. If I buy something and there's chocolate peanut, those immediately come out for me and they get everything
Incredible. Truly incredible. But yeah, you guys go check it out, Huel. It's one where, sometimes we always try those drinks and it's just like they're just okay, but this one I've been really on every single week. So it's been really fun and amazing. All right, going to continue on here, also taking your questions, and I've seen more come in here at K Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis is where you want to go. Saw one about Juwan Jennings, Adam, and what we're going to do with Juwan Jennings. Because this week, the 49ers actually get a pretty average matchup going up against New York. Over the last 4 games, the Giants have boosted opposing passing attacks. This is per the utilization report from Dwayne McFarland by 32 yards and 0.5 touchdowns. So Juwan Jennings has not been one that you've loved to pick. Honestly, none of the 49ers really, you have to push away the injuries for George Kittle, but it's really just been Christian McCaffrey that you've been happy with. If you took Brock Purdy, you haven't been able to play him. Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, it's just been all bad. So I have Juwan Jennings this week as a mid-range wide receiver 3, but I do think he brings wide receiver 2 upside. And I, again, have to be one that starts him this week. So it's pretty brutal.
The numbers haven't been there, but he does have a 24.1% target share the last 2 weeks. There was a bad drop that he had, so it could have been a bigger game. Yeah, it just seems like it's just not happening for him this year. The health has obviously been a big factor, but I do think if there's any game that he could turn it around, it is this one. It does have, the 4 receptions in each of the last 2 games, but it could have been a better day. And I guess at this point, we're expecting Mac Jones to play again, the way it's looking right now.
At this point, it always confuses me why you don't just put someone on IR at that point, but whatever. I'm not a coach. I don't know how that works. It makes no sense to me.
But yeah, if you do have Jennings, it's been very frustrating, and you have to hope that he can take advantage of the matchup this week. We know Ricky Pearsall did not practice again on Wednesday with this PCL injury. So it is shaping up that the target should be there for Jennings. Now you have to hope that he can produce better fantasy numbers than what we've seen, because it's been bad this year. One touchdown. It hasn't happened since week 2. But again, the usage has been encouraging the last 2 weeks. Now you just need to see the big plays being made when they are there for him.
Yeah. Just absolutely brutal. And you hope that things can turn around. Another matchup highlight, and we mentioned this yesterday, but I want to dive in a little bit more. Bam Knight is someone that's inside. I mean, if you have him, you wouldn't have forgotten about him, but they were on a bye last week. They're going up against the Cowboys. We have to pick on this matchup.
Yes.
It looks good.
As a Cowboys fan, I am well aware of this, that you just start everyone on the opposition against the Cowboys. And
you have to. It's been bad.
Yeah, and Knight looks like he's the lead back right now. Cowboys have allowed the 4th most rushing yards per game. They've allowed a lot of explosive runs, and so yeah, you should
all these
definitely.
stats
They're so
bad. Cowboys
and watching them, the stats tell the truth.
They've given running backs the 2nd most fantasy points per game, 28.4. Who's number 1? Second, if that's the 2nd most, who would be the Bengals? No.
It's not Miami.
It wouldn't be
especially
Miami
after
last game last week.
I think it
has to be then the Bengals, right?
For against running backs.
Yeah,
It's
against
it might be. I think it is the It's either the Bengals
yeah,
or
it
the
has to
Titans.
be. Oh, the Titans, that's a
I
good
think it's
one.
the Bengals.
Explosive runs, they've given up 27 and the third most double-digit fantasy performances to running backs at 9. We're going into week 9, Adam. It's just
And the
what are we
Cowboys are
doing?
number 1 against quarterbacks, most fantasy points, number 1 against receivers. So,
It's
yeah,
listen, Michael
basically,
Carter or Bam Knight is a good play. Again, you might have seen Michael Carter get released. He was signed back onto the practice squad, so I just assume he's going to be elevated. But that has to be a really deep play where you are just desperate to have to start him. And we'll have to see when their guys come back from injuries. But yeah, Bam Knight is a really good play this week. I like him a lot.
all you need to do is look at the totals of the Cowboys games, and every week it's like 57 to 60 plus points, and it should be another one this week. Let's see, what do they have the total at? 53.5.
Nice. I love that. I love that for us. I see a question here from GC. Bam Knight or Kenneth Walker for week 9? I believe I have Knight ranked higher, surprisingly.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go right now. Unless you feel, do you think that following this bye week that there's a change and we do see, you have mentioned that you think they're trying to preserve Kenneth Walker for the long haul. If that is the case, is now the time here, the second half, where you are battling for the division and these games are very important, that they start to unleash Kenneth Walker more, or do we need to wait and see it first?
I don't think so.
No?
I think they need to lose first, right? I think it'd be a situation where they say, okay, this obviously isn't working right now and we need to figure out what's going on, but they continue to win. And so I think after the break, sometimes we do see the bumps and we see, some guys step up, but for the standings, they've got their 5 wins right now. They're sitting at 5-2. And it's tied with the Rams are right there. And then the 49ers are also, how crazy is it that the 49ers are 5-3 with everything that we've been talking about?
I know.
It just blows my mind.
It really is.
If it is this week, then that's great. But I'm still, putting them as RB3s in my rankings until we see the change, because I just see them continuing to win. And so if they're doing that, and it's one of those things where it frustrates us because it's like, yeah, okay, this team's winning. Why would they change it up? That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked, but I think they still try and preserve him for a little bit. It's only week 9. They've got a lot of time left.
It's unfortunate because it is a good matchup here for Walker. Yeah. And, if you look at his underlying metrics, I mean, they're so good. He's near the top in missed tackle rate, explosive run rate, and that's why we're all frustrated in the fantasy community, because we realize how much better Walker is, yet we see Charbonnet coming in and stealing touchdowns every single week.
And he hasn't been better. That's the one thing that's the most frustrating, is that we could see, all right, well, Charbs is just better, because we've seen that. We saw that last season. Even with the 6 games that Walker was down, you said, all right, well, Charbonnet looks better here. But Kenneth Walker has looked like the superior running back in this situation, and he's looked more explosive. He just looks better out there. So that's the even more frustrating part. All right, we're going to continue on. We've got Thursday night football, Adam, because, it's Thursday. It's great. We finally got football back. We're going to go through some of the previews for that game and break it down here coming up next. Oh, you are listening to us right here. Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Hopefully everyone's having a great start to their Thursday. Or mid-afternoon, whatever it is. I'm hungry. I'm ready for lunch or breakfast. I don't even know. I don't know what's going on.
Do you eat before the show?
No.
Yeah,
it's too early, right?
Same thing with me. Well, I mean, we're 3 hours different.
It's 11 o'clock and Adam's not eating, but that's fine. No, I'm kidding. No, I just can't. I'm not hungry. Are you hungry when you wake up?
No. Yeah, I noticed the only time that I eat often for breakfast is when I'm on vacation, like early.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know.
Because a vacation breakfast buffet, there's nothing
That's
better.
probably why. It's like,
oh, my goodness.
It's there. There's a lot of food. Yeah, might as well eat
amazing. Yeah, I agree. I'll do a breakfast and then then skip the lunch and then do dinner on vacation. Because, you gotta save time. You gotta go do excursions, activities.
Yes.
You need a vacation.
I actually do.
You need to plan something.
All right, I'm gonna go out next week.
Right.
Is that cool?
No. But You can anytime after that. Please don't do that to me. All right, guys, we're talking through the Thursday night football game here tonight. I know that some people might be in a pinch and starting Tua Tagovailoa in this one, but expectations for Baltimore Ravens going up against the Miami Dolphins here, Adam. Again, Lamar Jackson looks like he is going to be good to go and play in this one. You've got lineup blocks with, Achane, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Jalen Waddle, I believe as well. Zay Flowers has been an interesting conversation, but we can just talk about what this offense for the Ravens are going to look like now that they do have Lamar back, because I did upgrade Zay Flowers quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, you have to like Zay Flowers with Lamar Jackson back. I mean, he was targeting him frequently early in the season. The offense obviously is way better with Jackson, 6.5 yards per play with them, 5.1 without him. The expectation is, though, what is he going to do on the ground, right? Because coming off the hamstring injury, is he full go? Are they going to unleash him? Because that's a big part of his game. And the defense for Baltimore, you would expect to get better as well as they get healthier. And Miami is coming off a great performance last week, but, that was probably more Atlanta than them. So, I mean, it's Achane and Waddle anyway. Those are the only two guys. Maybe in a deeper league, Malik Washington, if you're really hurting a receiver. But again, the Ravens are favored to win this division, and they have very little margin for error. So they have got to come out and win this game tonight, and I do expect them to win.
Yeah, I do too. I'm taking them in this one, and again, it is fully because Lamar Jackson is back, which is really, really nice. And you've seen, like you said, Zay Flowers step up in these situations. I definitely, put him up in my rankings as well. You're playing Waddle, you're playing Achane. Malik Washington, I will say, someone that maybe you pick up before this game. Just want to be a week early if they do actually go ahead and trade Jalen Waddle. I don't think they're going to do that, but I think Malik Washington is still a good guy to pick up off waivers.
And Zay Flowers is from Fort Lauderdale, so this will be like a little homecoming for him.
Love the narrative. When's his birthday? Is his birthday today? That'd be amazing.
His birthday is September 11th.
Is it? Did you look it up?
Yeah.
Oh, dang it, we missed it. What do we do? We've been bad on that. Enjoy Thursday night football, guys. We will be back same time here tomorrow.